Marcus Petz is a host of Econet. I will be asking him about his deepest value in life, his question that he's investigating, his relationship with truth, his vision for Econet. I am Andrius Kulikauskas. This is Math for Wisdom. Marcus, what is your deepest value in life, which includes all of your other values?
My deepest value is meaningful inclusion. I feel that often we're not properly included in things, and it's got to be meaningful. And I think that goes across a whole spectrum of different things that we do. So whether it's participating in a work life, whether it's participating in study life, whether it's just living, I want to feel it's real. And by properly being included, I feel it's real. So meaningful inclusion is my deepest value in life.
And what's a question that you're investigating, a question that you don't know the answer to, but that you wish to answer?
Well, my current investigations on Econet are in the area of community economics, and there's a little bit of debate about what that is. And specifically, my specific question is, what about syntropic finance? So this is the idea that we can move from different states by financing within an economy. So if you have the base state of poverty, you have an absence of economy. You can only have inputs, grants, transfers, loans, social assistance. But maybe you can reach a higher level, and in a higher level, then you might find a level of independence is starting to emerge. And perhaps at the highest level, there is no input at all. We might reach a situation where the economy is functioning without the needs for money and financial tools. So I'm not sure if this really can exist. I think it does. I think there's some evidence for it. So I'm investigating that by exploring economics, which I've done with Andrius and others, about how economists figure things out. So talking with Thomas Greco has been quite useful there. And I'm also supporting some other people in the investigations which are reflecting on my investigation. So we have Hans Florian Hoyer, and he is exploring the idea of twin token, which is a system of tokens that allow you to offset credit without having to use money to do it. And I'm collaborating with Horace Otieno in Kenya, and he is exploring not poverty, but how we get out of poverty. He is collecting uplifting stories, and I've been helping those two guys with their investigation. And we have a weekly meeting on a Thursday, a community economics discussion group. So it's all related. So that's the main thing I'm doing at the moment.
And I'll mention that we're in Finland, in the city of Tampere, where you live with your family, and that you have a master's degree in forestry and a PhD in public and social policy. And so I'll ask you, what is your relationship with truth? This is a question about not how you define truth, but how do you relate to truth in your life? What does it mean to you practically? Because we all have our own relationships.
My relationship with truth is based on the idea of experiencing diversely. So this is developed very much from my experiences in Pispala, which has an agonist tradition. So agonists believe that we very much should have different opinions on things. And that doesn't mean that somebody is wrong. It means very much that we've had different life experiences, and those different life experiences should be reflected and shared and cherished. And that reflects on my own view about experiencing diversely. And I think by diverse experiences, we also start to have a better handle on truth, a better idea. It's a little bit Sufic wisdom, where you have the elephant and the blind men. So some see a trunk, some see a tail, some see a back, and collectively they have achieved a representation of truth. So to my mind, I have to live in different ways, I have to experience different things, and I also have to experience them by proxy. So this relates very much to what Andrius has called absolute truth. So absolute truth is only going to be reached by exploring these different avenues, in my opinion. And so my relationship with truth is related to that. It's it's very much something that we're developing in Econet, the culture of living by truth, which is what Andrius has said is his relationship with truth. But I think all of us can start to understand that relationship. And Econet is a place that we can do that, and we can also do it while having an investigatory culture. So I'm very keen that this culture does develop.
Yes, my deepest value in life is living by truth, and yours is meaningful inclusion, and so that's a very fruitful connection. And the reason I started asking people about their relationships with truth was I have a passion for absolute truth, for knowing everything, applying that usefully, and trying to understand that fundamentally. And so a couple of years ago, I started asking our participants, what did they think about absolute truth? It turns out that it's quite a foreign subject for them generally, but that we all have some sense of truth, which seems very much compatible, and we all have different relationships with truth on that landscape. So, for example, for me, truth is an absolute view. It's as if God was looking through me. But for other people, truth could be a metaphor, or truth could be a defensive strategy, or truth could be acting correctly in the world. And so whether we pull together these things, so for example, diversely experiencing, the experience is something of this answering mind that experiences life directly, but the diversity comes from appreciating difference, that other people out there have different experiences, and so you're pulling that together, and we're all doing that with the truth. I think that's very important. And so I'll ask further, what is your vision for Econet?
So Econet's been created from Jere Northrop and Andrius Kulikauskas having interesting conversations and thinking how they take things forward. It's developed from Math for Wisdom, and originally I thought Math for Wisdom, it's not for me, I'm not a mathematician, but when it was called Econet, I thought, aha, there's a possibility here. So I could see the synergy between that idea and the idea of the natural world where we have an ecosystem. And so I see a vision of us networking as investigators, and we take that investigation and that investigatory culture and think, how can we practically apply it? We are faced by the enormous polycrisis from climate change and the other threats to the planet, and it might seem that what we're doing is abstract and not so relevant by thinking, but we need to think differently. And I can see that Econet is a way that we can support each other to think differently, and that diversity is something that we can then apply by collaborating, and it's hard to do that alone. So my vision for Econet is to find that space between scholarly, academic, university institutionalized investigations and lay science, or what you could call citizen science, where people have musings and ideas, but they don't really know quite where to place them. And I think that we can find people that want to do something proactive, and so that's my vision for Econet, to develop this space so that investigators and people who want to investigate, who want to learn this culture, want to have a relationship with truth, want to understand wondrous wisdom and walk forth on the path of wisdom with us, can find that space. So my vision is going to be to empower them, and it is about providing access to the tools that we have. So Andrius and I are working on a booklet and then a longer text in order to explain the context and how all this works, so people can take things that we've built, such as a theory translator, and they can apply it in their own thinking. These tools help you expand your thinking, they help you check your thinking, they help you see, well, where have I missed something? And so I think that this is quite a unique space. There aren't many places where that's happening. There's an assumed aspect to thinking nowadays, and we've lost much of what was there in the ancient times. So the agora seems to have disappeared, and we're bringing back a modern agora, a forum where people can think and they can interchange without necessarily pressurizing them. And we've also bring back other aspects which have been lost from the past. If we look to medieval universities, something that was very important was rhetoric. People used to teach rhetoric. So where's the teaching of rhetoric gone? Where's the reasoned explanation of what you think, basing it on theory and then linking it with practice? So we want to make sure that our praxis allows that linking between those two. We do that through a number of motifs and a number of ideas. So we'll say more about those in the future. So one is the three minds, that's quite crucial. And then there's the ways of figuring things out, which provides a structure. Andrius has investigated that and found there's a 24-fold structure. So we want to proof that, we want to test it, see if that's really so. Do we find that in other domains? Do we find that in other fields? And so far it's held up pretty strongly. So that needs to be shared with people. That's something that people can learn. So there is a teaching element with what we do. So although I have my own investigation and we encourage people who want to investigate and we want to support them, we're also willing to work with other people that want to learn more and maybe haven't thought about something. So my vision is that we would have a process that people come in and we're supporting of them. So I'm not only selfishly investigating what I want, I'm also sharing with that. And I see that's what other people do who've been involved. And so some of the thinkers that I've encountered in Econet have done just that. And so we have a solidarity culture there, and I think the solidarity will only go stronger. So that will support people to get postdocs or jobs, research positions, to advance and advocate for what we're trying to do. And I think that's the future for Econet. How big we'll grow, that's a moot point. It's more important that we have a vibrant and valid culture that we can then pass on to other people. So it isn't just about people who consider themselves wise, who've been learning for many years, but we also want younger people who are less experienced with thinking, or people that just didn't have time in their lives to do that. But now they're starting to move in this direction. So my vision would be to be able to bring those people in, but also to show them that we do have a culture. So it's not anything goes. There is a clear commitment that we like people to make to Econet, and I think that's a good thing to have some commitments. If you go to chess club, it is expected that you play chess. If you go to language club, I don't know, say you go to a Hebrew club, it's expected that you'll do some speaking and reading of Hebrew. Or if you take part in a book club, it's expected that you'll read the books. So while people might think it's very attractive to watch me speaking on the internet and listen to me, I'm not so arrogant and egotistical that I want to do that. Instead, I want them to be participating. I want an active interaction. And I think those of us in Econet want that. So that's my vision.
I'll add, regarding those commitments, we've worked together. We've known each other for 20 years. I organized Minshu Soda's laboratory online for independent thinkers around the world. And that's when I first learned about Marcus's deepest value of meaningful inclusion, and that hasn't changed in those decades. These things are quite stable. He knows himself. And so the commitments that we've come to that seem fundamental in a minimal culture of trying to bring together all of our personal cultures. One is to spend an hour a month contemplating the big picture. Okay, so this setting here, I think, is...
it's an ideal location to do that, this grove, if you like, in Finland. And I'm very inspired by Huck Mideka's idea of full moon, full stop. So on the full moon, he says you must stop and contemplate. And there's more of that on Econet, if you wish to follow that way of contemplating.
And so the second commitment is to have a question that you're pondering, that you're investigating, that you don't know the answer to, but that you wish to answer. So you're on the road from question to answer, and then you'll be on the road with another question to another answer. But to spend an hour a month contemplating that journey. Why are this question, should you give it up, go on another question? But if this question, then how to investigate it, how to break it up step by step, what are the ways to approach that? It's an adventure, it's a journey. And by sharing these two commitments, you don't have to be devoting a lot of time with others, but you could be by yourself, part of a global community that cares about the planet, cares about society, cares about yourself. So the idea is that we can have an investigatory community for absolute truth, in the sense of we grow living forever, learning forever, growing forever, but also to appreciate what does this all look like from a higher vantage point. For me, it would be simply God, but whatever that vantage point would be for somebody, to see that there's grounds where all of our truths could be, come into place, some kind of absolute truth, whatever that means pragmatically. So this is an invitation for that harmony, and I'm glad that Marcus spoke his vision. We welcome your visions, we welcome your commitments and your investigations. And maybe with that in mind, would you end us with a prayer? That's a request that I have sometimes. To take this energy we have and ground it.
Prayer for me is the consolidation of thoughts and ideas so that we can focus. For those who are religious, you will find this in your deities or the spirits, and for those who are not religious, you can nevertheless concentrate and think about where we go. So my prayer for this is that Econet will grow as an ecosystem to encompass you all as members. Amen.
Thank you for watching this video. Please go to mathforwisdom.com or simply read the description to this video to learn how you can join our Math for Wisdom discussion group and our study groups. Thank you for liking this video, for subscribing to this YouTube channel, and for supporting Math for Wisdom through Patreon.
Hi everyone. I hope you guys are all having as much fun as I am. While I'm talking to you, I want to say a few things about Patreon and Math for Wisdom. You go to patreon.com, you look for Math for Wisdom, you find it, and after a few minutes of filling out a few things there, you too can become a Math for Wisdom Patreon supporter. I did. It was easy. You should too.